right. So let's begin with this. So the communications is 2021 paper 1, right? So most of them technically start to repeat, right? A good amount of them repeat. I would remember like when I was doing these papers and before this passage finished done reading, I finished all the paper. So it was like really easy because a lot of stuff always repeats. So just pay attention to them because I guess they would repeat again. So I think this is the paper that, yeah, this is the paper that I did, I think. Alright, so reading the following scenario carefully and then read the following scenario carefully and then answer items 8 to 11. So why I'm not attempting the first 7 is because the first 7 belongs to listening, and listening does not repeat at all. So I think it would be a little bit out of place to really do that. I might just do the scripts another time, I guess. Right, and we'll practice them on a meeting another time. Practice listening and jotting down your answers and stuff like that. Alright, but for now we're just going through the questions. Alright, so it says here Megan and Lucy are conducting research on the reading habits of teenagers in the 14 to 16 age group in their community. Lucy believes that all that is required is gathering information from a website she found on the internet. But Megan believes that they should examine other sources. Right? Number 8. Which of the following would be the main advantage of if interviews are used as the method of data collection? So that would be the main advantage of interviews.
Would it be D?
D. So you're saying the ease of processing data, the data gathered. Are you sure? Anyone else?
I
Considers
think
D?
it's C. I think it's C.
Okay. So what type of data collection do we call like interviewing? Like interviews? Is it quantitative or qualitative?
Qualitative.
So interviews and stuff like that are qualitative, right, tend to give more details than close-ended questions within questionnaires or any type of just data per se that would probably connect it to surveys, right? So I would believe that the best thing or the most advantageous property of quantitative qualitative sources would be the fact that you can manipulate stuff, right? And you can get further details from what the persons are clarifying, right? I don't think per se that the ease in processing data gathered would be the reason, would be an advantage per se, because I'm not sure. Well, I don't think, right, that it would be easier to process. Right, with quantitative data, it's easy to process. You throw them into some tables, right, or some graphs or some charts, right, that would be fine. But for interviews and stuff like that, you're gonna have to dissect what the person is saying. So I don't think it's easier, right, than other types of data collection. So I would believe that C may be the main advantage because you have more further details, right? So I would believe that that is that. The confidentiality of the data would be fine. Cost savings, not really. But looking at it, right, we're looking at what will affect the data or what will affect the outcome of the research, right? The ability to provide further details, especially when you're researching the reading habits of teenagers, would be better, right? So everybody would give a different response, so you can't just tally them like that. So it's going to be harder to process the data, but it's going to be more fruitful for the type of research that Megan and Lucy are conducting. All right. Number 9, which of the following web addresses is not likely to provide the most credible information for this research?
B.
B. .com. That's what you said, B?
Yes.
All right. So I think that would be the best one, right? .org gives the idea that it's some type of organization, some type of a reputable organization to some extent, right? Would have that specific domain, right? For gov, you know that gov would be owned by the government. So the government specifically, right, would go through tenuous checks of information data to make sure that it's as true as possible, right? And EDU would suggest academic sources. Although some academic sources may be biased, the may be biased. Some of them may be biased, right? Because from an academic standpoint, so many persons are writing for a purpose or to fulfill a purpose, right? But the information should more or less stay true for EDU, right? So .com, anybody can really own a .com thing, so it's pretty fine, right? People can manipulate it way more. So moving from that, number 10, the most reliable source of primary data for this research would be what would it be? Anybody has an idea? Go ahead. Let me check the chats. Okay, you say C, right? So we're looking at the reading habits of teenagers from ages 14 to 16. So I think that would put them into secondary school, all right? And they would most likely be students, of course, because they're part of secondary school. They're pupils, right? So that should be fine. I think C would be the best answer as well. So we know what the difference between primary and secondary data is, right? Would somebody suggest it to me or tell me? Rather, what's the difference?
Okay, well, from this question, you could assume that the primary data will be like quizzes and surveys and stuff, and well, the secondary will be articles and websites.
Pretty good. Right, but what is it in general? In general, what is primary data versus secondary data? Primary data is data that we get from where? Or what type of data is it? No one?
Is it like first-hand data directly from the source, while secondary research would be like based off of the primary data collected?
Okay, wonderful. So primary data is usually from original data gained from some type of research, right? So the research that you're putting out, right, would collect primary data, right? And if we're trying to make, for example, a newspaper article or periodicals or anything like that, or any type of tallied data or information based off of the primary data that you collected, then that would be secondary, right? So just wanted to influence that. So the person who went first is fine. 11. Which of the following activities would Megan and Lucy be involved in if they are conducting a survey?
C.
Okay, gathering the samples, opinions, and beliefs. Okay. Why not creating and investigating a treatment group? What does that treatment group even speak about specifically? So it wouldn't be that. Diagnosing problems and finding solutions. Okay, so you're saying that the main purpose of this survey or the main activities involved in taking a survey would be gathering the samples, opinions, and beliefs? Because we're looking at the habits, the reading habits of teenagers, right? So they're just habits per se. So you're gonna look at the opinions of the persons, opinions and beliefs of the different persons within your sample group, right? Okay, that's fine though. Obtaining detailed information, nope. Detailed information would not be something that you generally get from a survey. Um, Creating and investigating a treatment group, not necessarily. Diagnosing problems, we're not really doing that with a survey. We already have something we want to discuss or we want to gather information on, right? So the survey would probably be for the purpose of C specifically, right? So everyone's fine with those four? Can I move on?
Yeah.
All right. So let's look at this now. Miss Tracy Davis is head of the English department at Malcolm High School. She realizes that over a 5-year period, fewer students chose literatures in English as an optional subject in the sixth form. She would like to determine the reason for this and also put in place a program to reverse this situation. Number 12. Which of the following research designs would be most suitable for Miss Davis to use? We know the different research designs, right? We have been taught the different research designs. So, which one do you
No,
think
sir.
she would use? No?
Yeah, I don't remember either. So
The research designs, the types of research designs, you have experimental, you have, okay, how do you go through this though? So you have descriptive, okay. So, could somebody just tell me what she's trying to do? What is she trying to do? Just have a quick look back at the excerpt and tell us what she's trying to do. Because the research design or the methodology specifically that she would be utilizing to gain the information would be based off of the purpose. Like, what is she trying to do? Tell me what she's trying to do.
sir, so basically she want to find out the reason why. Huh?
Anybody has an answer yet? What is she trying to accomplish? Maybe after you look for what she's trying to accomplish, it will assist you looking for the correct design that she would like to use or that she's supposed to use. Rihanna, you want to give it a try? So she's saying that over a 5-year period, students chose literature in English as an optional subject, right? Well, fewer students chose it, right? So she's trying to find out why this is happening per se, right? So she's exploring the reasons for this, and she's saying that over a 5-year period, right? The number of students who chose it decreased. So over a 5-year period, there were a fewer number of students, right? So she's trying to find the extent to which a relationship between these two variables, right, lead to some type of trend that can be recognizable within data. And this is a part of the correlational research design, by the way. I'm not sure if you guys got the different designs or looked at different designs. But correlational is usually used to recognize trends or patterns, right? And analyze it for the cause of these patterns. So here we see that over a 5-year period, fewer students were there. So that's a type of relationship that we're looking at. And correlation now seeks to find out the cause of these trends. Therefore, she wants to know why, right? She says she wants to determine the reason for this. Therefore, this would be correlational, wouldn't it? So it's one type of quantitative research designs that you could look at. I think I have something in my storage group. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can send something to you guys. Give me one moment. I always save stuff to this group so I can have data to use. I have to go in the comp studies section. Hold on, give me one moment. I'm going to send it to you guys real quick. Just give me a second. Okay, I have it now. Let me just send it to the group. So these different things should have been assessed. Alright, so I sent the document that I found. Right, so that's what I used to do it. 13, which of the, we looked at that correlational. Alright, so let me just let in this person to the group, well, into the meeting. Which of the following data collection methods is most suitable for Miss Davis to use in her research? So what method would she use now?
Interview.
Interview, okay. Everybody agrees? Because you have interviews, surveys, observations, secondary data analysis, experiments, and focus groups, right? You have all of those type of things. So which one would you use for this? We're trying to find out the reason, right, for the reason for there being fewer students in literature and English over the 5-year period, right? So you said, the person who spoke said interview. So I'm guessing that rationale comes from determining the reason, right? So probably asking the student a few questions why they didn't choose this to get a deeper understanding of the reason, right, for not choosing literature and English as an optional subject. Is that what you're getting at?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we would understand that a document search could probably pull up the information of the statistics of the persons would, how it could probably bring up the correlation between the year and how many students enrolled in the class at that time, right? Observation of schedule, I don't think that would be useful at all, and participant observation, I don't think that would be useful at all, right? But the reason why a document search, personally, I don't think that would work, is because you're not getting the deeper meaning, right? The reason, because it says that she would like to determine the reason for this, right? So that's what her purpose is. So I think that she may use an interview, right, to do that. It could be attached to her research, right, the document search, so she could find like the correlation between them and then start interviewing persons for the reasons. But her greater purpose is the reason for this happening, so she can institute a program to reverse this, right? So I think that the interview would be the better approach. I'm not sure if anybody has a different approach to that. Everything's fine with that? All right. Let me check the chats real quick. Oh, no. Did somebody raise their hand? I don't see any hands. All right. The only reason I'm going through each one of them slowly is because if these repeat in the subsequent papers, I'm not going over them. So yeah. So I'm just gonna mark the answer, move cross. 14. Which of the following factors would invalidate the generalization which Miss Davis may make from her findings? What do you think?
B.
B. The sample is not representative of the population.
I say D.
Or D. The research is conducted during the end of an examination year. What does generalization speak to? She's saying that her specific sample, right? There may be something with her specific sample, right, that allows it to be generalized, right, in a widely incorrect way. So what I'm saying is that she realizes that over 5 year periods, fewer students chose whatever in sixth form, and she would like to implement a program to reverse this, right? So what would invalidate the generalization? So it said if the research is conducted during the end of an examination year, or if the sample is not representative of the population. What would be the stronger answer? I get B and D, right? But what would be the stronger answer? Can anybody give us a third or a fourth opinion? What do you guys think?
What question are we doing right now?
Number 14. Having a look at it. So I heard the answer B and I heard the answer D. I'm asking which one do we think would be the strongest one? Because there can only be one answer. What would invalidate the generalization?
I feel like they made the questions too vague. I don't know whether it's in the school itself or in the among entire teachers. I'm assuming it's the school itself. So I'm gonna say D. I don't think D would have much of an impact. But I think I don't. I say D.
Alright, no problem. Say D. Okay, so what would allow a researcher to generalize?
The population.
Right? So the population. So in order for you to generalize or to say, hey, 15% of women smoke, right? You would have to make sure that your population size or your sample size, right, is representative of that population. If it is not representative, therefore you cannot generalize. Right? So that's why I'm leaning to B more so than C. Because I believe that C is speaking about Malcolm High School here within the excerpt. Because remember that even though the questions seem like it's disjointed, all of them are relational to the excerpt right up here. So I would understand. Okay, so I would understand, right? Where you're coming from with the research isn't carried out only at Davis's High School, right? But only at Miss Davis's High School, but that is the really purpose. She's trying to find, right, why persons don't choose English literature or literatures in English, right, at sixth form at Malcolm High School, right? If she did not carry out the research at her school, right, then that would invalidate the entire research more so than the generalization factor. So I think that B would be the better answer, because if she chooses a sample that is not representative, then you can't generalize anything. If the research is conducted at the end of the examination year, I don't think it will have an effect, because whether or not it's the beginning or the end of an examination year, the student would have chosen literatures in English or not. So if it's at the end of examination year, it's not like they didn't choose it. So you could still get the students that chose it or did not choose it at the end of an examination year, or end of a year of the year examinations, right? So I would believe that B would be the best answer, based off of the principle of generalization. You can only generalize when your sample is representative of the population. If it is not representative, then you can't generalize. It's like telling you that all high schoolers, prefer prefer sugar than salt, right? And then you proceed only to test fourth form females. That is, you can't generalize that if your population is not representative of the entire high school population, right? So that's what I'm saying. You can't generalize results if the sample is not true to the population. 15. Which of the following must Miss Davis consider in selecting her sample? The composition of the school's population, the size of the school's population, or accuracy of the school's data.
B.
B. So you say 1 B. So 1 and 3 you're saying?
No, I said D.
Or D? Oh, okay. D as in
Yeah.
dog. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, sure. That has no problem there. So everybody else believes that it's D as well?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Let me look at it one more time. So the composition of the school would have to be taken into consideration. The size of the school would have to take into consideration. But I guess she realizes that over a 5-year period, I guess the school's data would have to be accurate as well. Alright, so that should be fine. If the only reason I think you'd include 3 is if she's also looking at the over 5-year period thing, because the composition and the population of the school might have changed since then. Therefore, she would have to rely on the school's data, right? If she's not reliant on school on that 5-year period, or if she's not looking at that 5-year period, then she wouldn't be looking at the accuracy of the school's data. Alright, just putting that out there. Okay, absolutely not. I'm not reading this. Could I have a volunteer? Absolutely not. Is there anybody who would volunteer to read this wonderful piece of literature? Go ahead.
Don't shout at me, was all he got for his pains. Don't you deafen me. What's that the young varmint says, Maud? Mrs. Dovecot came over and got him to understand after 2 or 3 attempts. 3 pence, Maudie, he cackled. 3 pence. Did you hear that, Maud? Did you ever hear the like? I'll bet you ain't never did. 3 pence. The lad'll have money what I's got to sweat blood for. Just to get that mega hay. What's got his bread so well buttered off on both sides, not to mention the middle. 3 pence. Ha ha. Oh, Maudie. And he broke down once in helpless laughter. Clement went out and sat under the breadfruit tree that grew before the door, resting his back against the trunk.
Wonderful, Lady Knight, or Miss Knight. Okay, so I love that last name, by the way, if it's true, but that's fine. Alright, so okay, seems pretty solid. Now, which of the following dialectal varieties are used in the dialogue here?
Would it be Basilict?
Okay, so we're seeing Basilict. Where is the Basilict? Tell me the line. So 1, 2.
Did you ever hear line 1?
Line 1. Alright, so you said did.
No. I'm talking about line 4.
Something like this.
Yes.
So you're saying that is Basilict. Okay, so you're seeing Basilict here. Everybody agrees that is Basilict.
Acrylect.
Okay. Where is the acrylect?
Would 3 pence be acrylect? Or don't shout at me?
Wait, hold on. Which line? That's what I asked you for the line.
Don't shout at me. That's line 1.
Line 1, okay. But the mere fact that this was using the expression, I don't believe so. I think it would be a mixture. It may or may not be looked at as code switching, but it's probably not enough for code switching. So I get what you're saying. Alright, it probably just power language.
In line 4.
Line 4, 3 pence Maudie he cackled. Right, so that's fine. Because Maud is an affectionate name, it won't be basilectal generally.
Oh, so it's not the person's name?
No, I'm saying that it's the person's name, but it's an affectionate name. So, like, calling you by a pet name wouldn't be classified as basilectual language. So, 3 pence, Maudie, I think that's fine. Right? As a basilectal language. You could also see in line 8 to 9, right? This was pure Caribbean Standard English. So, this would be acrolectual as well. Well, acrolectual in variety, right? As much as it can. Go ahead. You raise your hand? Go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Nah, the thing I'm trying to say is that I think that like if there is like an instance where there's a part of the sentence which has standard English, it would be considered mesolect. I think that's what my teacher taught me. I'm not sure, but
No, it's
like
true.
because like I think it's between lines 4 and 5 where you say, "Did you ever hear the like?" That includes like words that are in like that includes words that are like in standard English. So
Okay.
I was thinking that would be the mesolect.
Oh, I saw what you're saying. Okay. So you're saying that it's mesolectual. All right, I'm seeing that. Okay. Do you guys agree that this line that I'm underlining now is probably more mesolectual than basilectual? Yes, no, maybe.
Why is that?
Right, so he's saying that we're seeing the iteration of English words, right? So he's saying that words like these, like ever hear the like, probably, right? And I'll bet you, right? And stuff like that. So he's saying that because we're using terms like these, right, it would be a mixture of standard English as well as the language of Creole.
Okay, understood.
So that's what he's saying. So I'm asking if you agree. Because we're free to not agree, that's fine. Alright, that is all but better. Well, that is better. I can't say all but better. But yeah, that is better. If you disagree on something. Alright, so we're saying that would be more mesolectual. Do you guys agree? Let me check in the chat to make sure that I'm not.
I think it's colloquial language, so I think it would be mesolectal.
Alright, okay. So you're saying that it would be you think it would be mesolectual. Alright, I'm just seeing it as well. So it might be more of a mesolectual variety more so than basilectual. By the way, in actuality, linguistics does not work like this. I think that communications is a gross simplification of linguistics. But we'll try to be as close to what the syllabus wants us to be. Go ahead. You raise your hand. Alright, so we're seeing those two. Anybody sees pure Creole language? Go ahead. Somebody raise your hand. If you raise your hand, you can go. Oh, you're typing in the chat. Let me check the chat. In your opinion, it's irrelevant, but I mean, people are allowed to have opinions, right? Even when it comes to important things such as language and communication. But yeah. Alright, anybody sees any basilectual variety that you could look at? Anyone? Just going through one more time so we can start the questions properly. Alright, so bringing attention to that, what I labeled basilects before, I think it's fine to assume that this is mesolect and basilectual language. Alright, it seems fine. Let me just check again, but they're off on both sides. Wait. Just to get it. Okay. So I think it's mostly a mesolectual variety being used, to be very honest. Alright, so I'm looking at the mesolect and the acrolect being used. So I'm looking at 2 and 3. Do you guys agree? you don't agree, let me know.
Yes.
All right. Just saying, if you don't agree, let me know. Okay, number 17. Which of the following types of registers is used in the dialogue? What do you think? All right, let me go back down to the question now. What do you think? Is it frozen, formal, or academic?
I think it's A.
A, casual. All right, so we're looking at the use of the mesolect, which is normally used within casual situations, and we can also see the use of mod, then modi, right? Giving some amount of affectionate response, or more of a casual or intimate response between the two individuals speaking, because yeah, affectionate names usually is a telltale thing, right, to casual language registers. All right, hopefully everybody gets that. 18. Which of the following communicative behaviors is mainly used in a dialogue? Is mainly used in a dialogue. What do you think? What do you guys think?
I would say vocalics.
Vocalics. What does vocalics speak to?
Would that be like pitch and tone?
Well, pitch and tone and yeah, those type of stuff. Okay. Alright, the intensity. Alright. So I guess you're just looking at the don't shout at me and the don't you deafen me, right? And the laughing and the cackling and stuff like that. I guess that's what you're looking at. We see that there. We're also looking at the broken down in helpless laughter, right? There as well. That could be looking at kinesthetic type of interaction with the language, right? So that could be a part of it. So we're saying that vocalics would be the main thing that we see here. Go ahead.
I think it's either vocalics or kinesthetics.
All right, so it should
Maybe.
be
Wait, hold on. I don't. This could be a stretch, but I think they wanted to pick C because I learned that it's kinesics and not kinesthetics. I'm not sure if it's the
So
same thing.
it's not kinesthetics, right? Because kinesthetic isn't a type of workout routine, like it's giving gym per se. Kinesthetics though, right? Kinesthetic, no. It's speaking to body motion. So the word kinesthetic at C is completely out wrong. So I think that the safest bet would probably be to choose vocalics, which is right. So out of all four of these, only vocalics, artifacts, and chronemics are actual linguistic terms, right? And we don't see the much artifacts or chronemics, so I think we would go with vocalics, right? So that should be fine. Okay, let me see which. You know that this one was a fine one, you know. All right, this one was a fine poem. Alright, so could I have a volunteer to go with this student letter? Who would like to read? Miss Miss Knight, went already. So could somebody else volunteer? Rashida, Rihanna, Samira, Tariq. Nobody would like to read it? I'm just giving you guys a moment.
I'll try and read it.
Okay, take your time, I guess. Go ahead.
Which part there? Alright, dear Mama, good day. I hope that when these few lines reach you, they may find you in the best of
Wait,
health.
hold on. Give me one. I'm sorry. Let me stop you there. Right? Could you start at the title? Because generally we read starting from title and then read the address and then you go down. My bad.
Okay. Sunny's letter from prison, Jeb Avenue, SW2 England. Dear Mama, good day. I hope that when these few lines reach you, they may find you in the best of health. I don't know how to tell you this, before I did make a solemn promise to take care of little Jim and try my best to look after him. Mama, I really did try my best, but nonetheless, so I have to tell you that poor little Jim get a rest. It was the middle of the rush hour when all of a sudden a policeman pull up. Out jumped three policemen, the whole of them taking baton, them walking straight to me and Jim. One said, sorry, one of them hold on to Jim. One of them hold on to Jim. Tell him take him in. Jim tell him to let go of him, for him not do nothing. And I'm not thief. Uh, sorry. Not thief on a button. Mama, I just couldn't stand up there and not do nothing. I'm sorry.
All right. Thank you. Just giving you guys a few more moments to read through it. Once more. Just a few moments. All right. So what do we notice here? Can I get my linguistic varieties, my dialects, what are dialects that we see here? Well, sorry, what are the different language uses that we see here? All right, because I think one thing that persons like communication studies teachers don't think enough is that Creole is definitely not a dialect of English, right? So what are different language varieties that we see here? Do we see a basilectal variety, acrolectal variety of language, anything?
Acrolectal.
Acrolectual where? Which line? I'm gonna have to quote the lines now.
1, 2.
1 and 2?
Yes.
England. You sure it's acrolectual that?
Oh no. I'm talking about good day. I hope
Oh, good
that
day. Alright. But note that 1 and 2, like it starts up there, it's a part of the thing. Okay, so you say
oh
good
okay.
day. I hope that when you're looking at that. Okay, so this is acrolectual for you. Thank you for pointing that out. Find you in the best of health. So I think that all of this, right? So I think that all of this is acrolect, you all.
There's basilectal line 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 10, 11, 12. For I did make a solemn promise to take care of the dream.
Also, all of these, right? I mean,
Yes,
for the
sir.
wait, hold on. From all of this, all of this, isn't this like mostly like a mixture? Alright, let me see. For I did make a solemn promise to take care of the gym and try my best for look out for him. Alright, so do you think, okay, so you're saying that's basilect?
Yes, I think so.
Alright. So let me just label it, right? Because we don't really have to look at every iteration of it, you know. We just want to make sure that it's present, right? So you're saying that that is basilectual. If anybody wants to comment on it, you know, and say yes or no or anything, you can say that, you know. So we're saying that that's basilectual. Any mesolects you see? Any mesolectual variety?
The line right beneath that, Mama, I really did try my best.
I really did try my best. Okay, we're seeing mesolect there. And this one as well, right? Don't know how to tell you this. So looking at meso. Let me just use M's and B's, I guess. Continuing on to meso. Okay, so we don't have to look at every variety, you know, just have to know that it's there. Do you see any types of communicative
What about
behavior?
but nonetheless?
Wait, repeat?
What about but nonetheless? It's under Mama. I really
But
did try
nonetheless.
my best.
I think that would be a
Yeah,
mixture as well.
wouldn't that be misaligned?
Mr. Who? Yeah, it should be fine as Mesolink. But as I said, it's not that we have to scrub everything for it. We just have to look for them, right? But that's fine. Thanks for pointing that out as well. It could be incorporated into this. All right. So any types of let's look at what the questions ask for, and then it would increase our accuracy at finding stuff. The speaker's main purpose for writing this letter is to protest against police brutality and injustice, to apologize for being locked up along with Jim, or to inform his mother of his current address and to console her, or to tell his mother that he and Jim are in jail and to explain why.
D.
D.
D. Okay, you guys said D. Anybody say anything else other than D? Nobody else? So anything else?
No.
Okay. Alright. Even if I skip the question, and you feel something different about the question, you just let me know. The chat is there and you can obviously unmute at any time.
Right? Yeah, hold on. Can you
go ahead?
Sorry, can you go back to your question, please?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just go back to the question. I want to see something. Yeah.
Alright.
But could it also be B?
Could it B as in boy?
Yeah, maybe.
Alright, so it could be that. Alright, so to apologize for being locked up. So we're looking at whether or not that is the main thing. Is it apologizing or just informing? Right, so let's look at it once more. Just giving you guys a few moments to look at it.
No, it's D. Never mind.
Oh, alright. Okay, so if you take a good look at it, it probably would lean towards D more so than B. Alright, so number 20, the register of the poem may be described as?
Would it be intimate?
Intimate. Alright. It's talking to its mother. Right, so remember, audience is one of the detectors of register. Right, and depending on the purpose, right, or the tone of the poem, which is somehow, what would you describe the tone as? Right, it's I would say probably it's around solemn or a little bit, well, let's not get into that too deep, but yeah, so I would say intimate more so than formal, frozen, or consultative, which in all of those three you tend to use more of the mesolect into acrolectual variety, right? 21, which of the following is a purpose for which the writer uses English Creole in the poem? What is the purpose of using English Creole? I don't even like the word English Creole, or the term English Creole. But go ahead. Why do you think we use it?
I think English Creole makes sense in this context, but
it makes sense in the context. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What would inmates here mean?
Intimate?
I would say C or A, not D, because it could be a case where it doesn't. Alright, the appropriate in D is what throws me off. So
wait.
It could be A or C for me.
I'm confused. Wait. Oh, inmate. Oh, I saw it. Never mind.
Yeah, it's not C, bro.
I just saw it. So you said C or A? Okay.
I'm thinking A or D.
So C or A or D. Okay. Anybody says B?
Why would it be?
No.
I think it's D. Okay,
alright. So we're hearing A, C, or D. So let us look at all of them. So providing aesthetic pleasure to the reader.
Yeah, all of them.
That is very a real possibility. A is a real possibility. Right. C, serving as a vehicle of easy communication between inmates. Is this inmates?
But the letter isn't addressed to the inmates.
Yeah, it's not addressed to the inmates, right? But it's a poem. They're asking why they use it in the poem. So inmates, why would inmates be reading this poem? I'm not sure why that would be a thing.
Okay,
It's the
so C would be in it then, because somebody said it's inmates mean, like, other prisoners. So I think
Yeah.
that rules it out.
Okay. Providing appropriate communication between mother and son. Appropriate communication in what aspect? Because the use of the mesolectual or basilectual variety could communicate intimate behavior, intimate conversation between a mother and a son. It could help, communicate that within your writing, right? Or it can also provide aesthetic pleasure. But I'm not sure whether or not the poem is written, right, for that specific thing. I think a lot of persons would lean towards D, providing the appropriate communication between mother and son. Right? Cruel can be used for aesthetic pleasure, but the purpose of using English cruel here, I don't think it's really entertaining, but it's to communicate a dire event such as an arrest. So I think it's probably to show that type of relationship between mother and son per se, more so than just aesthetic pleasure. Because if you look at the deeper meaning of the poem, I don't think it's all funny. It's not haha, right? It's not it's not light, if you get what I'm saying. Right? Because we're looking at systematic oppression, we're looking at also racism, we're looking at also some amount of tiny amount of police brutality, right? And we're looking at the communication between a mother, right? Between a son writing something towards his mother, right? So I think it would be D more so than A. But the persons who say A, right, I understand why you say it. But would you still stick with it? Because it's a valid answer, like nobody can really attack you for that. It's a valid answer. It's pretty much valid. But I would think that D would be the most appropriate here. But if you think that it's different, just please let me know. Alright. 22. Based on the tone of the letter, the relationship between the receiver and the sender may be described as tense, bitter, cordial, or affectionate. Okay, hold on. Give me one moment. Somebody said D in the chat, right? I assume that somebody in the chat a while ago went D. You guys can go ahead. Okay, I'm not hearing anything, so I guess the answer is D.
oh yeah the
Okay, alright, 37.
the
Okay, so Sonny is most likely incarcerated in who? B as in boy?
yes.
Alright, I heard D though. So if you're saying B or D, it sounds similar. Alright, on my side. So you could just tell me. Alright, so England, they said. Therefore, it would be most likely England. Alright, so we're looking at that. Okay, next victim. Who would like to? Oh
Wait,
my!
sir, can you go over how you know Jim is in the letter? He's in Jamaica jail.
All right. So
No, it's England because he misspelled
the
England.
letter
Flipping.
from Prison Jeb Avenue, SW2, England. Right. So based on how it's written, I believe it's England that they're sending it from. England is written in the Basilics. So I think that would be the answer.
Okay, I missed that part.
Oh, no problem. Absolutely no problem. All right. This is priceless, right? There is a political meaning behind of this that I may tell you after the recording. It's really political, and yes, it has to do something with Jamaica because Jamaica have in everything for some reason, right? Even though we're not that hot, but okay. So, who would like to read this? Have a go at it.
Rufus had in him a passion, a kind of vexation that when he stand up before a crowd, he would get all tangled up with his words and his feelings. But Rufus don't have the education. They tell this story, how one night at a meeting, Rufus was talking about the cost of living. People can't eat book in this country, Rufus say. People can't eat words. What the people need is bread. Bread. Bread.
No,
Rufus,
it's
should I
spelling.
spell it?
Yes, it's actually spelling.
What the people need is bread. BRED. Bread. Rufus, you leave out the A. Somebody from the crowd called out to him. And Rufus correct himself. BREDA. They tell up another time. The reporter tell Rufus that Mr. Richardson suggests that they should put more boys
Boys.
boys out in the sea to mark the area. Boys, Rufus say. Big men does drown out there in the sea and he wants to put boys. No, we couldn't vote for Rufus. Who we want in the council is a man that qualify, a man with education, just like the people in Britain. Ivan could really talk. Rufus was alright. But after you listened to Ivan Morton, you had to put Rufus aside.
Okay. One of Errol Lovelace's things, right? So, looking at that. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so. Right, I guess you guys got a lot from this specifically and the correlation of language and educational status within Caribbean society. But let's have a look at the questions. Alright, or let me give you a few more moments. Let's have a look at what you want to look at. And then we'll go to the questions. Alright. Now let's have a look. 24. Which of the following rules is language serving in this extract when it is used to judge Rufus's level of education? What do you think?
I think social.
Social. Alright. So she said social. Anybody else? There's a different answer to this. So we're saying social is the answer. So I don't think it'd be more ethical or political generally. The role that language is serving is a social one. Right? Because we should know the roles of languages generally, right? So the role that language is serving is a social one here. 35, well, sorry, what I'm saying 35, 25. The narrator relates the stories about Rufus mainly to. Go ahead. Sorry, when I hear that sound, I automatically assume.
I'm thinking B.
B showed Rufus is uneducated.
Alright. So Rufus is uneducated. Okay, give me one moment, guys. One moment. Alright, to show Rufus that, well, show that Rufus is uneducated. That's fine. That's a fine response. A little issue has come up. Give me one moment. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, I could hear you clearly.
Alright, give me a moment. I'm bringing back up the paper. Alright, so we're saying to show. Isn't the other question B then? Alright, let's look at it then. Let's have a look. 2021 paper, right? Alright, so we're looking at which question now. Give it a moment for it to load. My bad. My bad. Okay, you're saying that the next question that we have, that the first one was be ethical.
Wait, it's just nah, I meant C.
You say it's political. That's the rule. These rules of language that was used. So when the extracts use the rule of language serving, the rule that language is serving, right, in the extract when it is used to judge Rufus's level of education. So you're saying that language is serving a political purpose more so than a greater social purpose?
I don't know. Yeah, because if political is a form is a role of language, then I believe it's B. Maybe, but I think we should judge
The political rule of language.
No, we couldn't vote for Rufus.
Okay, so you're saying that since
they
it's
can't vote for him, so
okay. The person who says political, why? The main four rules of language are personal, interpersonal, directive, imaginative, referential, emphatic, right? There are many other rules, right? But there's a political rule to this. Why would you say so? Is it because it's in the state of an election per se? Or a political campaign? I know that language can serve a psychological and purpose and sometimes an ethical purpose, but a political purpose may be a little bit far off. But okay, so we're saying that political could also be an answer here because it's a political campaign. It's serving a political purpose. All right, so that's what you're saying there, Miss Campbell. Okay. So what happened to the paper a while ago? I had to save the paper therefore, right? What I'm going to do is put an asterisk beside this question because I can't erase. Let me see. Can I erase? Lies. Okay, I could have erased for real. Okay, that's interesting. Right? But we're seeing that it can either serve a social purpose or a political purpose. So I want you guys to deliberate, right, on whether or not it's social or a political purpose. Right? So which one do you lean towards? I want you guys to tell me that.
Political.
So political. Alright. Anyone else? Let me check the chat.
I'm not sure if they're talking about the extract in general or about them specifically judging Rufus's level of education.
So it says which of the
I'm not sure
following.
what they're asking.
But like, if the question says which of the following roles is language serving in this extract when it is used to judge Rufus's level of education? Alright, so you guys say political, agree the political purpose, alright? But I guess they're judging his education because of his, involvement in the political campaign generally. Alright, but I want you guys to tell me what you guys think probably after you think about it. Alright, 25. The narrator, I think this would be to show that Rufus is uneducated here because you guys went through this question already, right? So show that Rufus is uneducated. Alright, and number 26, which of the following attitudes may be inferred about the narrator based on his account of Rufus's behavior?
A. He values education.
Alright, he does. It's not that he likes British people per se, but the general Eurocentric misconception is that persons from the British Isles have somehow garnered more knowledge, right, than anyone existing in the Caribbean at the time. So I don't think it would be generally because he likes British people. He doesn't like people with passion. That's not true. He says that Rufus was alright, but once you heard Ivan Morton speak, saying that Ivan Morton probably had some amount of difference in his speaking, probably used actual lectural varieties, right, then it would have been more likable, and that he was unsympathetic towards Rufus. That was not true either. He was not unsympathetic, right? But he's putting Ivan over Rufus for a greater meaning, probably because he values education more so than just not liking Rufus. Right, so I would go with A as an answer here. Anybody has any issues with 26's answer?
No, I agree with the answer.
Alright. So we're looking at this now. It is a dialogue. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have problems looking for two persons. But could somebody be Ivory and one person be Marcel? I'm not sure. But somebody go ahead. Can you guys raise your hand if you'd like to participate in this one? But you guys will have to choose who will watch. Now don't be shy, it's a couple lines.
I'll be Marcel.
Okay, you'll be Marcel and go ahead. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Is it Light? You could go ahead.
I'm not first.
Oh, okay. I know that you're not first, but like, go ahead. The person said they would
okay.
Ivory.
Hi, Ivory. It's been a long time, hasn't it?
Wait, hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. The person that is Ivory, I was asking.
Oh, sorry.
Guys, to make this so much smoother, could somebody just jump up and read that part? Nobody? For real?
Can you please repeat?
I want somebody for Ivory and I want somebody for Marcel. Could you be Ivory?
No problem.
Okay, go ahead, thank you. Go ahead.
Marcel, Wagwan youth. I true so you did that foreign. Is studying you was studying?
Hi, Ivory. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Yes, I've been studying overseas. Nice to see you, my friend.
Man, you're talking like a real foreigner. Like you forget where you come from. I traveled before and I went to high school and I still talk like my people where I come from. Chillax no man.
Alright, wonderful. I actually like when you guys narrate stuff. It's really pretty fun. Alright, 27. Which of the following relationships between education and language is not evident in this scenario? Is not evident. Oh, sorry, it's most evident. I can't read. Sorry, it's most evident. Go ahead. me check the chat. So yeah, it's subdue most. I actually can't read. My bad. Oh boy. I can't take this call, so go ahead.
I'll say it's B.
B. Why?
Because based on the dialogue, you'll say that someone who is educated will use standard English, and those who aren't as educated will use Creole.
Okay.
I also say it's B as well.
So we're saying that language is indicative of one's education level. All right.
I was
Cool.
thinking C or D.
Oh, you're thinking C or D. All right. Let's debate these. So education negatively impacts one's use of language. What does negatively speak to? What do you mean by negatively impacting one's use of language?
I would go with D.
I was thinking about it like it affects the person's preference to use their mother language, so it negatively affects their use of their mother language.
But it didn't say specifically mother language per se. Suppose
Oh, okay,
one's
I see.
Yeah, but suppose one's mother language is English. I don't think there's any negativity in language per se, right? There's, as we should know as communication studies students, right? Right, is that nothing is bad language, right? If you choose to speak in your Caribbean languages, which are your respective creoles, which are languages in and of themselves, right? It is the societal stigma around the language which you choose to operate in that would be negative or positive depending on this, the composition of the population at that time, right? So language itself is not really negative, and I don't think education can negatively impact one use of language. It can alter, but I don't think negative or positive is a thing, right? It probably depends on the situation in which you're using it, right? But I don't think it really matters negatively or positively like that, right? Plus, in your case, you're saying mother's tongue, and it didn't really specify that. For D, education causes one to forget one's mother tongue. I staunchly resist that. I staunchly resist that. I don't think so. Right? First of all, D is absolutely wrong, right? Out of this context. And within the context, is D even right? I can see, you can see that Ivory, wait, it's not Ivory, Marcel, right? You can see that Marcel uses standard Caribbean English to some extent, right? But does that communicate explicitly that education has caused the person to forget their mother language, their mother tongue, per se? I don't think that would be the thing that is most evident here. I think language use is indicative of one's education level, may be the best one suitable for this. Right? It is probably not the best one overall, but within the options that we have, it's probably the best one. Right? Because of the wait, it says that they're studying overseas, right? Most likely, yeah, so studying overseas, and then the other person says that they went to high school, right? Studying overseas most likely would refer to tertiary education in some type of form, so I think that would be used there, right? So I think that B would be the better answer, but do you guys believe that D is the better answer?
No, after your explanation, I see B would be a very good answer.
Alright, the thing is, no, when I try to explain, technically when I explain, I'm being persuasive as well, so don't allow my explanation to persuade you, by the way. Don't allow it to persuade you. If you really think that one thing is the answer, stick with it, right? And explain to me why, and then I can just put an asterisk and let everybody know that has the paper in the future that we are the dichotomy, right? But that's fine. 28. There is attitude towards Marcel's use of standard English can be described as
Annoyance.
annoyance. Alright. It could be described as annoyance. It's not indifference and it's not accepting, right? Because he does mention it. So this statement in particular is really important to the situation or to the context. So I think it would be annoyance. It's not, he's not being scornful at all. It's probably most likely annoyance. Alright, so that would be that. Which of the following grammatical features is evident in the expression "me ain't have no money"? Well, what do you think would have to be here? Ain't and no, right?
Double negative.
Wonderful.
Double negative.
B, double negative.
Wonderful answers. Wonderful. So, which of the following features of a language do
One
Creole and?
minute. My internet shut out. Can you go back up to 28? Let me see the question, please.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right, so we're looking here at this. Which of the following features of language do Creole and Standard English have in common? What would you say?
I was thinking C.
All right. So is our languages prestigious? Asking that question.
Sir, can you repeat? I didn't hear you well.
Are our languages prestigious per se within this context compared to Standard English? Our languages such as Creolese, right? Jamaican Patois, Trinidadian Creole, are these languages more prestigious or in the same prestige as Standard English? Yes or no?
No, I don't think so.
No. So I think prestigious would have been out of it. Human would have been fine. The next one, systematic, true for both, right? Because both of them do have like systems, right? When we look at different types of classifications of different language artifacts, right? Both of them are arbitrary to some extent, but no language is static. Absolutely not. Right? Dead languages may be static in a way, but when persons continue to use dead languages, then it becomes not static in a way. Right? So we have that there. Human, systematic, and non-instinctive languages, all of these. Right? Languages, the language per se is not generally a non-verbal language, right? It has to be syntactic and it has to be non-instinctive. So I think that C would be the best answer. Alright, so we're working past that. Everybody's fine with that?
Yes.
Alright. We're looking at this as well, reading the cartoon here to answer the questions. So the first one is just wishing well. So I'm just going to give you guys time to look through it. Alright. The man's body language in box 1 indicates that he is
indifferent.
Indifferent. Wonderful. It's not that he's irritated. I don't see that. He won't be thrilled either, and it's not supportive. Right? When persons are thrilled, they tend to have a different type of, probably kinesics, generally. When someone is supportive, they tend to have different chronemics, right? And different proxemics as well, right? When somebody is irritated, you should be able to see expressions of irritation. So I think it would be just indifference. He's just standing there with his hands in his pocket, generally, right? 32. Which of the following words describes the man's tone in box 4? His tone. You don't believe in those things, do you? Is it angry, disdainful, despairing, right? Or conciliatory?
I think it's definitely not angry.
Alright, so I don't think it's angry either.
I'm just going with B, disdainful.
All right.
disdainfully.
What does disdain speak towards or speak to?
He kind of disgusted that they believe in, like, he's kind of disgusted that she actually believe in these things. Like, he look at her like wow.
All right. And 33, what context of communication is depicted in the conversation? Small group, intercultural, interpersonal, or intrapersonal?
Interpersonal.
Okay, inter speaks to one person to another, and intra is within. Alright, so wonderful. We can move on. Alright, let's look at this now. Your friend Christian is running for head girl, and you have agreed to be her campaign manager. Christian has to give a speech to the upper school students at General Assembly. Now, 34, which of the following audience reactions would indicate that the upper school students are likely to vote for Christian? Go ahead.
D.
Alright, applauding whenever she makes a point. It shows that they're engaged, it shows that they are listening, it shows that they're understanding, and it shows that they are in agreement. Wonderful. 35. If Christian is to avoid sending mixed or unintentional messages to her audience, to which aspect of the communication process should she pay special attention?
Encoding.
I'm going with medium.
Oh, you're gonna pick medium. Interesting. To avoid sending mixed or unintentional messages. Wouldn't this be in the conceptualization process?
Noise? No, wait.
I would say encoding.
Alright, for the person who said medium, why?
So medium, I believe would. I know. I'm just very guessing at this point. I think it would be medium because that seems like the most likely option out of the rest of them.
I mean, the medium would be interesting, right? But we already established that she needs to give a speech, therefore the medium is already defined, and we have to find something else that may work there, right? Plus, the medium, in a sense, I understand that you're kind of guessing ish. That's absolutely not a problem, but understanding it from now would help you later. So, the medium per se is not what generally would avoid mixing messages or anything like that, right? The medium would help with better what do you say now? Absorption of the information or understanding of the information more so. But if the information itself is flawed, then the issue relies on encoding, or the issue is within. Yeah, so the issue is within encoding. Because you can find a perfect medium, but still send mixed messages or unintentional messages. So encoding is where the issue has come around.
But then, why can't it be noise? Since like noise is like things that distorts the message.
But we're saying that the message itself is unintentional. What I'm saying, I'm not saying that you're wrong, I'm just arguing against it, right? So what I'm saying is that I believe from this question that since this is sending a mixed or unintentional messages, that it is not the way in which that we send the message, or it's not how the message gets to the receiver, but it is the message itself which is flawed. So I think that in order to correct any type of mistakes or unintentional or misleading information, we need to fix the message through the conceptualization process first, right? I think that the message itself is flawed more so than the process or the medium. That's what I'm saying. But that's my perspective. Why do you choose
No, but
noise?
I see. It makes sense. Like while you're making a message yourself, you have to make like sense. Like you have to have clear points and stuff. I see.
But the noise, though, I understand what the noise would say. The noise would block or hinder, right, the message from getting across per se. But I think that encoding would be the safest answer. I think that. So if there are any if you feel like it should be different while I'm going through the paper, you can obviously like tell me like, hey, I just thought of this, and go back to the question and we can talk about it, right? So you can definitely do that. A presentation on digital communication is being made in a lecture theater with the air conditioning unit where the air conditioning unit does not work. Let's underline that. The presenter speaks loudly and uses some words that seem to annoy and confuse the audience. Simon thinks that the speaker does not care about his audience, so he stops listening and starts paying attention. Stops listening and he starts planning his holiday, right? The speaker's use of visual aids does not help in making the audience feel that they have learned anything new from his presentation. So we have that there. 36. Which of the following are barriers to communication in this scenario?
Listeners' attitude definitely have to be in. Poor visual aids have to be out. Like, definitely.
So we're saying 2 and 3. Why I wouldn't say poor visual aids per se, right, is that the speaker did use visual aids, right? I'm not personally sure whether or not it would be poor visual aids. What do you guys think about that? Because with the downfall of his presentation being the visual aids, he said that the use of the visual aids did not help in making the audience feel that they were learning any. Well, I guess poor visual aids could be in it, based on the way that we look at it, to be very honest. What I was getting initially is that based on everything what was happening, the visual aids could not have saved the presentation. Right? But I think even if the visual aids didn't even help a bit, it might be that poor visual aids could be there. But what do you guys think?
I interpret it as everything was so trash that the visual aids really didn't even. It couldn't help.
Alright. Because they were annoyed. He was using language that was annoying and incomprehensive to some of the viewers, right? And it comes off as the fact that he didn't care. So using visual aids, I'm not sure whether or not the visual aids would have assisted, right? Or if we could look at it from that way or that direction. But if we look at it from the next direction, he could be using just poor visual aids to add to that. But what do you guys think? Let me check the chat. I'm seeing C. Alright. So you guys go with C. Go ahead.
But I think I would see just by the fact how the visual aids didn't help. I would make it a barrier. So I don't think how, because the other two were more major, and this is like a minor thing, but I think all of them should be included. So it's D.
Okay. So what was the answer that you would put? Or what is the answer that you would put?
Yeah, D.
D. Okay. So what do you guys say? C or D? Can I see the chat?
C.
Okay, so more persons say C than D?
Now that I think about it, since visual aids supposed to enhance the presentation, the fact that it wasn't enhancing it could mean that it wasn't serving the function that it's supposed to serve.
Okay. Alright. Okay, so let's take the information as we see it and try not to overcomplicate things, right? So if we take it as we see it, right? Air conditioning generally, right? That would have created some amount of personal disturbance, right? Makes sense. So 3 is in it, right? Just taking everything as we see it. Right, the words were annoying and confusing the audience. It comes off as he didn't care about the audience. So the listener's attitude, right, and then the visual aids not working would have been poor visual aids. If we look at it at just face value without trying to overthink it or attach too much things to it, D would be the best answer. But some persons put C as well, right? So wow. I really just flopped the spelling of the word could in the worst way possible. Alright, so it could be C based on what we're saying, right? But D is the best answer we're working with right now. Alright, Because if we just take it as we see it, then D is the best answer. 37. Which of the following types of barriers is mainly responsible for the failure of the communication process for Simon? So it says that Simon thinks that the speaker does not care about his audience. So Simon thinks that the speaker doesn't care. So which one of them would be the main thing responsible for the failure of the communication process for Simon?
A psychological barrier
Repeat?
or internal. I'm not sure. I'll go with psychological.
Psychosocial, it says.
Oh, sorry, I misread it. I'll go with E.
Okay, so internal. So it says that Simon thinks. So he feels that the speaker doesn't care about the audience. Alright? So do you think it'd be more internal? External? Well, I mean, why would it be physical? I think physical is out. Alright? Psychosocial per se. Psychosocial could be an effect specifically, but it's not generally what we talk about for it. What are the psychosocial barriers, or what does psychosocial barriers speak to? What does psychosocial speak to?
I'm not even sure what they mean by
Psychosocial, right? It speaks to the perception of the person, right? It speaks to the perception of the person. It speaks to any type of opinions or emotions you feel. It does also speak to stuff like, poor retention, lack of attention, any type of mental limitations you may have, right? Any type of thing like that.
I think that's the answer.
So I think psychosocial is the answer. All right. So psychosocial would really speak to those. So any condition of the mind that may alter, right, an individual from making, from thinking about, the communication process, or from being receptive to the communication process, right? So anything that would stop you generally. So you're saying that D would be the answer mainly because of what? Tell me why. Are you saying that the perception of he perceives the speaker of not caring, so that's why you think it's psychosocial?
Please repeat.
Are you saying that it's Simon's perception of the speaker that allows it to be psychosocial?
Yes, because it's based on Simon, and it did say that he feels that he doesn't care. We don't know. It's not a fact. It's just his opinion. Then it's something with his mind, like it's something in his mind. So though I understand internal, I think psychosocial speaks to it more.
All right, and we also see that the lack of attention is there as well. What does to make sure that we have it? What does the internal barrier speak to? Come on, wonderful students of communication studies. What are the internal barriers? It would be psychosocial, I would think. But what are the internal barriers? Internal doesn't speak to probably things like indolence and tiredness, or whether or not you're irritable, like you're irritated, lack of time to listen, lack of motivation to listen, these types of stuff, lack of knowledge as well.
Bias fall on the internal?
Would bias form on the internal? Bias, I think bias would more lean towards psychosocial, but it could be internal. Bias is a part of it though, but I don't see biases, so I think it's psychosocial. 38. The process by which messages are exchanged and meanings interpreted between the speaker and the audience is known as.
Decoding. Wait, exchange communication? Yeah, communication.
All right. Is communication cyclic or linear?
Cyclic.
All right, so it's cyclic. Wonderful. It's dynamic as well. 31. So I could ask if it's cyclic or linear, or I could ask if it's dynamic or static. And you know it's dynamic or cyclic, right? 39. Which of the following does not operate as barrier to communication in the scenario? Gender, vocalics, semantics, and perception. They said he speaks loudly, right? Therefore, that vocalics will be there. They said he uses some words to annoy and confuse the audience. Therefore, perception would be
I
there.
think in general.
Gender.
Gender.
Wonderful. So gender, right? Plus, they use words that the audience didn't really understand. Therefore, semantics would be an issue. All right, gender. So let's look at this now. These are my favorite questions overall. Well, I think my favorite question is in module 2. A student's expository essay typically aims to. What is the purpose? Okay, enlighten and inform. That is what expository is for. Alright, 41. Which of the following would be the main organizational strategy used in an expository essay on the topic types of luxury vehicles? Oh my gosh, it dogs. Classification, wonderful. We're looking at the types, so we're going to classify. One organizational feature of language that is not typically found in expository texts is the use of
Emotive language.
Alright, emotive language. Wonderful. Which of the following is the correct sequence that a presenter should follow to successfully complete the communication process?
B.
The B come out strong though.
Been waiting.
Okay, so conceiving the message, alright. Then you encode the message, okay, select the channel and disseminating the message. Okay, let's see the others, alright. So A says encoding the message, then you select the channel, then you select the audience. Alright, then disseminating the message. C says encoding the message, transmitting the no. Can't transmit the message before you choose the channel. You can't do that. Why are you gonna transmit the message and then select then disseminating? No, I don't think that makes sense. Conceiving the message, interpreting the feedback before selecting. What? No, absolutely not. So it's between A and B. Alright? So one could argue, right? I'm not gonna burst your bubble, it's not bursting your bubble for B, One could argue that conceiving the message is a part of the encoding process. Right? But conceiving the message, encoding the message, selecting the channel, then disseminating the message, that seems fine. What do you guys think, A or B?
A.
So you say A. Alright. You guys can unmute, or you can use the chat. So let me check the chat. This year is 2021. Alright, so what do you guys think? Only one person say A and one person say B. Everybody else I hear B.
I think B, because
It's B.
B says selecting the channel, then selecting the audience. Wouldn't you have to select your audience first, then select the channel?
Oh, okay. So we have to know our audience before we select the Okay, but let's look at it.
Can I, Alright, conceiving the message also means to plan. To invent or plan an idea. So it's like, this is basically like conceptualization. So though I understand you mean it's a part of encoding, it's kind of not.
Yeah.
So in this process, at this step is like, or you decide what you're going to say. It's like, the idea comes, said, okay, I need to get a message to Tariq. I need to get a message to Michaela. So I think it is B. I know it is B, as a matter of fact.
All right.
It cannot be A.
Okay. I remember having an entire discussion over this, and I chose B the year I did this, right? But selecting the audience, right? Do we select the channel then select the audience? Because we're looking at it in order, right? I think I have to know my audience before I know the proper channel to send it through, because I can't say that I'm going to do a public broadcast, right? And then the audience is like a focus group at a specific high school. I have to know my audience before I select my channel, right? And knowing the audience is a part of encoding the message, so you know which channel to send it through. Not true?
Correct.
So I would think that B is the better answer. But the persons who are saying A, I want to hear your side of the story. Not the silence. The persons who say A, what does your side say? You know, I should probably
Sure,
stop
honestly,
inputting. Go ahead.
I don't know, but it kind of look because it said the selecting the audience part, so it just made me pick A.
Okay. Alright, so you're saying that within B it lacks. But the thing is not encoding the message, right? Don't, in encoding, you select your audience.
Oh,
Because in order to encode the message, you have to know who you're talking to first, no sir?
yes, sir.
Alright? So encoding in communication, right? What does it speak to? Right? It's turning thought into communication per se. Right? So the encoder, right, uses the well, I'm not gonna really speak about that. It's using a medium generally, right, to like do all that. But I'm looking at encoding per se, not the encoder. But it's converting the data into a format that requires that is required for a given audience, right? And then after we do that, now we select the proper channel and then we disseminate the message. So I think the audience is needed to be taken into consideration before you communicate anything, right? We can't make the message, right? Let's say that we want to communicate, let me see, the reproductive system, I guess, I don't know, let's just use something like that, right? Or human rights, right, to a bunch of 7th graders. We're not gonna talk about race relations and advanced like murder cases and all of these different things, right? From with papers that are written by PhDs, and then we select the channel and then we choose the audience we're putting it to, right? When we're encoding a message, we must have a clear understanding of who the message is going to go to before, right, we start selecting a channel or whatever. So I think that B would be the best answer. Alright? So that's why I think it would be the best answer. For 44, your friend Sandra is experiencing great difficulty in organizing persuasive speeches. Which of the following is an effective strategy for organizing your speeches? Effective organizational strategy for speeches. You guys had to do your own 10-minute speeches, so go ahead.
I think C.
C. So it should be sequenced and summarized, alright? So you should have sequenced and summarized points, okay? Okay. So you're saying that it should be sequenced and you have summarized points. Anybody rejects that? Anyone?
Wait, B could also work, I guess.
Many exclamatory sentences.
If it's like expository speech.
Many exclamatory statements can be on the board of excessive, you know. Because with the speech, even though you're trying to be persuasive, you don't want to like be making too many, right, exclamatory statements, because it will come off as cartoonish.
Sure, wouldn't the exclamatory come out like sarcastic too? Like,
yeah,
depends.
Yeah, if every other thing is exclamatory, then exclamatory would be sarcastic as well. It bring notes of sarcasm into the work or into the piece of writing. Okay, 45. Which of the following strategies could help Sandra make a successful delivery?
C.
A.
When you're delivering a speech, I'm not sure how other teachers do it, right? But I'm pretty sure it's a universal thing, right? Your teachers ask you to look at the crowd and not look down into the paper. Therefore, I don't think C would be the answer.
So A then?
A, alright, you're looking. I think A would be nice. Pacing the room is. Oh, go ahead. Is it pacing the room? So pacing the room, no, I don't think too much movement is not good generally. You guys did your speeches, right?
And avoiding eye contact wouldn't persuade anyone. It would make the presenter seem, I don't know, like they don't have any confidence, I guess.
It could be unscrupulous as well.
Yes.
It could be like it makes the perception is that you yourself are not persuaded by your own ideas. So why should I be persuaded? Right? You have to look confident enough in order to write a persuasive speech, or in order to deliver rather a persuasive speech. And reading directly from her prepared speech, I don't think that would be good as well. Keeping her eyes fixed, I think it's between A and D. Keeping her eyes like fixed above like an overhead projector, looking up may not be a good look. It would surely be eye contact being avoided. So I think if you focus on a friend like that is like in the crowd, it would appear as if you're looking to the crowd per se, rather than that one friend. So I think focusing on a friendly face would be nice. Go ahead. Somebody said something. Let me check the chat. Not per se. I kind of like have calculus, physical chemistry, and organic chemistry exams, like all of them back to back next week. Right, but I scheduled this for today, therefore I'm doing it. I want probably next week. I could probably do that. Wait, why this have 245? Oh, it's just the same questions over and over again. All right. So yeah, that's the end of that. Another thing I just want to repeat to you guys, I said I wasn't going to do the excerpts because they don't repeat at all, so I don't see a reason to do it generally. All right, but that's that.